Welcome to the Addison podcast, where we talk about what it actually takes to hit your first six or multi-six figures in business. I'm Addison, certified clinical hypnotherapist and online business coach for entrepreneurs. And 3 years ago, I decided that nursing wasn't for me, dropped out of nursing school, and dove into the online space. From free hypnosis audios to unfiltered conversations and business advice, this is the space for you to take radical responsibility towards creating your dream business. Let's dive in. Hi guys, welcome back to the podcast. Oh my gosh, my client popped off with this episode. I'm so excited for you guys to listen to this and hear from her. Yeah, this is just incredible. So this client, just to give you some context before we hear from her, she is someone who reached out about joining TVA, honestly, about a year and a half to 2 years ago. I have to think about the exact timeline. And at the time, she was really hesitant to make the move. She reached out to me and then she was like, you know what, I'm going to come back to this later. And she told me it, quote unquote, wasn't the right time. And that's totally fine. We all make just choices and decisions based on our own life and where we're at and, you know, all of the things. But since then, she joined TVA in August, so it took her about a year to join. Again, totally fine. And she joined TVA, and within about 4 to 5 months, she was having her highest income month yet in business and just completely, you know, shifted everything in her business, is feeling so good. And then come this past November, she was going to re-sign in TVA. She actually did re-sign in TVA for an additional 6 months. And I went to her, you know, mid-December when we were heavily promoting the mastermind. Obviously, we're still heavily promoting it, but, you know, all over Instagram. And I was like, girl, I actually think, you know, I know you've already signed this contract for TVA, but I actually think you should be in the mastermind based on the results that you're seeing in your business right now and just how much we've shifted, because the additional mindset work and the additional subconscious work that we do in the mastermind is really going to set you apart and take you to that next level where we're creating these, you know, 10 to 20K months consistently, because she's also someone who's like, I don't want to grow fast. I want to grow sustainably. And so she was like, hell yeah, I'm going to do it. And so why this is so cool is because, like I said, it took her a full year to invest in TVA, and TVA has pretty low payment plans, guys. It's like, you know, $300 to $500 per month. So, you know, obviously when you're coming into a program to make 5K months, and most of my clients do that consistently, like I have been told by my clients that I'm the queen of walking 5K testimonials in that program. $500 per month is really not that much money, you know, to see that level of results, right? And so she went from this fear around those payment plans to now fully investing and fully feeling safe and investing in a 5-figure mastermind. And so I just wanted to have a conversation with her and ask her a few questions. One, about just her insight now that she has, you know, fully made that shift, and what shifted for her that made her want to make the decision to just jump into TVA. And then 2, what really shifted in her mindset to allow her to feel safe in investing in a 5-figure mastermind. And then 3, just overall her journey and why she feels like, you know, my coaching really sets the industry apart, like why I am so different and what she's really seen and you know, shifted from our coaching together. So she honestly popped off with this. Like, as I was listening to her talk, because I listened before I filmed this intro, I was like, oh my gosh, like she popped off with this. And I really love that in this story, she highlights really hard moments that she's had in business, because I think on Instagram, we want to highlight all of these, you know, really amazing wins, but we don't want to talk about the hard shit. And in my intro in my podcast, you know, I say, we're going to talk about what it actually takes to build a 6 or multi-6 figure business and sustainably. And when you are building a multi-6 figure business sustainably, there are going to be hard moments. There are going to be moments where sales are slow. There are going to be moments where a client tries to refund, you know, get a refund, or a client cancels, or, you know, there's just going to be moments like where I've said again and again, I received a freaking cease and desist on my honeymoon. You know what I mean? Like, there are going to be moments like that where you have to learn to hold yourself through that. And those moments, those really tough moments, actually prepare you to basically get to a place where you've created a subconscious minimum of a new income level in your business. And so it prepares you for the next level in your business. It prepares you for more income. It prepares you to hold more. Because if you think about it, like if you're calling in, let's say 20K months, but you can't handle a simple client, you know, situation, or you can't handle a simple client canceling from your membership and that sets you off, like how are you going to be able to handle more? How are you going to be able to handle that 20K month mark where you have 5 clients that come to you in one day and cancel, or something big happens in your business? Like I said, you receive a cease and desist and you have to change the whole freaking name of your program. Like how are you going to handle that at the new level that you're calling in? And so all of those lessons really prepare us for the next level. So I seek to, on this podcast, be really, 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 really freaking real with you about what actually happens behind the scenes in business and how you can hold yourself through those moments. And so I think that she highlighted this perfectly, because she talks about a moment where she actually thought for a moment, like, should I shut down my business? And then turned it around and ended up having, her highest income month in business. So it's just a really incredible story. And I'm so excited for you to hear and listen. So we're just going to dive in and go straight into Kallen. She actually is just listing off the questions that I asked her and answering them in her own words. So we'll just play her unfiltered voice memo here now. I'm so excited for you to listen to this.
Hi, Addison. I'm super excited to share my experience with you, with everybody. You have been so fantastic and such an essential piece of my professional growth and the growth of my business. So thanks for letting me talk about this. So, okay, question 1. Sorry. Was there a moment you knew you needed to invest in TVA? What did that feel like? Yes. I had been following you for a couple of years at that point, and I had been seriously considering TVA for around a year. And there was a piece of content that you made and posted that essentially said, you're going to be exactly where you are right now unless you make shifts in your mindset. And I remember that hit me like a ton of bricks, because it was true. It was spot on for me. I was still dealing with inconsistency. I knew that the services that I have to offer were high quality and that I should be attracting more clients than I was. And I had invested in so many resources and all of this strategy. And I saw on paper how clear it is to get to where I wanted to be in business. But for whatever reason, I just absolutely could not push through some of the blockages that I had. And your content made me realize that it was mostly a mindset issue. And that specific piece of content that was like, you're either going to commit to changing your mindset or you're going to stay where you are, that really just floored me. Because I had considered TVA a year before. And when I looked back over the last year, I really hadn't moved the needle very much in my business. I was exactly where I was a year before. And so that really hit me. And even though it was terrifying to invest in TVA, that fear of staying stagnant is really what drove me to make that decision to book with you. Because at that point, my business did not look like how I wanted it to look. I was not progressing towards my goals. My income was really inconsistent. I had a lot of fear around booking clients, and I had a lot of fear around, am I going to make enough money to sustain myself? Am I going to grow? My income was incredibly hit or miss. And so, I just knew that I could not do another year of that I needed to grow and I needed to just commit to that growth. So thank you for the tough love, because it really helped me make my decision to book with you. Okay, question number 2. Have you invested in other things in the past before TVA? Yes, I have invested in other things, and it was mostly strategy. I had I'd purchased multiple programs. I'd actually spent like a couple $1,000s on programs around how to market your business and how to set up internal systems and that kind of stuff. I had a lot of strategy, and I had a lot of like playbooks that I could apply. They were very useful tools, but they were almost so all-encompassing that it was overwhelming to work through them by myself, because they were all like self-taught course type of resources. And so I really didn't have someone to talk to about the very specific issues that I was facing. And I definitely didn't have anyone to talk to work through, the fears that I was facing and some of the mental blockages. And I always assumed, if I just collect enough strategy, if I just learn enough, then I'll eventually feel confident enough to act on it. And I just never reached that point. So I had all of this information. I had all of it in front of me, like telling me exactly what to do and how. And I still, for whatever reason, just could not move and take the action in my business. And that really helped me to realize that most of my issues with business had absolutely nothing to do with how much I knew about business and everything to do with how I was feeling about business and the way that I thought of myself and the way that I was showing up in business. I will say that I did invest one time in a quote unquote business coach who, it was like a VIP day situation where it was just a conversation, and then she sent me suggestions after. And with something so small where you're not developing a relationship, you really can't expect to have great outcomes from that because they just don't know you and they don't know your business, and they can't provide like really helpful insights. So in fairness, it's not even, that kind of program isn't set up for success in the first place. But I had such specific questions for her that I was hoping for some kind of actionable insight into those questions. And I was left feeling really disappointed with the insight that I was provided. And that was my only coaching type of experience I'd had before I booked in TVA. So I think that added some hesitancy in booking with TVA, booking with you, because not that you made me feel like you would be, for lack of a better word, scammy, but that was a fear that I had in the back of my mind. I'm like, I don't want to invest all this money. This is such a stretch for me financially. I don't want to invest and then to feel that disappointment again and feel like they're not showing up fully, they're not meeting me where I'm at, and they're not giving me answers that are actually helpful for me. That was my primary fear. And so that was a big concern I had when talking with you before booking into TVA, is I wanted to know what that kind of relationship would look like and what kind of discussions we could have and how deep we would go. And as I told you, I have been really blown away by the level of support that I've seen in TVA. At this price point, this is just fantastic support. Okay, question 3. What is your favorite aspect of coaching in TVA Mastermind? I really love the one-on-one support. I think being able to, when you start the program, you sit down, you go through your business. It's a full, in-depth audit, essentially, of your business, from marketing to processes and then into your mindset. And it's helpful to sit down and really look at everything and go through everything with a fine-tooth comb. That was really helpful. And then after that, being able to ask you specific questions and work through specific things as they come up has been really wonderful. Because I don't feel like we just sit down, spend a few weeks developing a plan, and then you send me off on my way and be like, okay, good luck. The support continues after that. And so you get continued access to you and also to a group of women who are at the same place as you in your business, who are working through similar challenges. It's really nice to be able to support one another and see that the fears and the concerns are oftentimes shared. You're definitely not the only person to be working through some of these issues in business. Running a business is hard. And if you're like me, I don't really have anyone in my personal life who has ever built or run a business, and certainly isn't at the same stage of business that I'm in. So it's really helpful to have that community and have that support. Okay, number 4, you mentioned being fearful to invest in a $300 payment plan and just committed to the mastermind. What has shifted for you to make that an easy yes? Having the systems in place in my business to know that I can support higher level months that I have, and also just having a renewed sense of confidence in myself and my ability to bring in those clients and have those higher level months. I'm no longer feeling fear around, am I going to make enough money this month to be able to support a $300 monthly payment? It feels so small compared to what I am gaining from this program that expense is just nothing. And while the payment for the mastermind is a step up from that, it feels about as stretchy less stretchy than the $300 payment did a year or when I started this program. So it still feels like, yes, this is more money, but I'm already so confident in what I will get out of the mastermind program, even though I'm not even in it yet, because I've already seen how you have delivered in this lower level program. So I know that by the time I'm finishing out the mastermind program, the payment that I'm making on it is going to feel like nothing, just like TVA's $300 payment feels like nothing right now. Because it truly is an investment, and there's a return on that investment, and that return is absolutely worth every penny. And TVA set me up so that I feel confident in my ability to make the most of that investment. I know that when I commit to the mastermind, which I have committed to the mastermind, I'm going all in with that, and I am going to get the return on investment that I have committed to. Because it's not just about, the program's amazing, and I'm sure the program's amazing, but it has a lot to do with like my trust in myself and my ability to get the most out of those investments, because I have improved my relationship with myself and my trust in myself. So I know that when I commit to something, I'm going to make the best out of it. And that shift is thanks to a lot of the mindset work that I've done in TVA. If there was someone in my audience who spent some time waiting to invest or join TVA/the mastermind, obviously everyone invests at their own pace, but what would you say to the younger version of yourself who was scared to make the move? I would tell myself that there is really no point at which it's not going to feel scary to make this investment. It's going to feel scary, but you need to feel the fear and do it anyway. If you want the change that you're after, you need to decide that you're going to make it happen and trust that this is the best route to do that. Yes, the strategic tools in TVA are incredibly helpful. I found this process of going through my business operations and my marketing very, very helpful in a practical way. But by far the biggest benefit I have seen from TVA is the way that it has rewired my confidence in myself and my ability to make the most out of the opportunities that are around me. And so now I'm in a place where if I invest in something and that investment doesn't pan out the way I wanted it to, I can let that go. It's not going to swallow me. It's not going to put me out to the point where I can't function or I can't move or I can't progress in my business anymore. I trust that I'm able to handle adversity. And so even if this program, still talking to my previous self here, even worst case scenario, if this program ends up being BS, you're at least, which it isn't, but you at least get that mindset shift of being able to navigate through a BS investment. And that's ultimately what you need. Strategies come and go, but having the mindset to navigate those shifts is ultimately what's going to help you be successful. You just have to decide that you are ready and willing to make that shift in yourself and commit to that kind of change, even if you are scared. And actually, especially if you are scared. Because your options really are to either face the fear and grow and move, or to stay stuck because of fear and stagnate and not change. Your external world cannot shift until you shift internally. So make the decision to trust in yourself and trust in your judgment and trust in what you need and just say yes. Any pivotal moments or massive shifts you want to share in our work together? Yes. There was a point earlier in the program where I had a few months of stagnant work, and this was leading up to the US election. I think ultimately it came down to clients being nervous before the election, and so they weren't making investments. But I had never experienced that before, that kind of, pause. And so I was really starting to freak out around, I haven't had any client inquiries in 2 months. I haven't had any client work in 3 months. What's going on? And I was reaching a point where I still believed in my business. I still believed in the services that I could provide and the value that I could bring to my clients. but I wasn't yet seeing shifts in the external world. And you really helped to hold me through that period. I even reached a point where I was like, if I don't book a client the next week, I'm going to have to close my business. And I know that that's not like the glamorous win that your audience probably wants to hear, but I actually think it's the most important thing that you can find in a program and in a business coach is someone who is able to hold you and help you during your lowest moments. Because I had reached a point where, for months I was sort of just holding on tight, working through my fear, working through my mindset, having faith, trusting that it would work out the way it needs to, and just putting in the work. And you helped me work through those mindset shifts and that fear. But ultimately, I was reaching a point where just financially, it just didn't make sense for me to not have any more income. Like, I had to pay my rent. I have to pay my bills. And so we had a conversation around that where I was like, this isn't even a fear. This is just logic. This is unsustainable. And if nothing shifts, then I need to press pause on business. And you were very real with me in that moment and, prioritized my well-being and my ability to take care of myself and said, okay, if we make this decision to shut down, like, let's walk through that. How can we make this make sense for you? How can we put your business in a place where it's essentially on pause? And so if you do get client inquiries, like, we had just started to have those conversations. The thing is, I had updated you and told you on a Monday that I was going to close my business and start looking for a job. And then on Wednesday, which was right after the election, literally like days after the election happened, that Wednesday, I got a client inquiry for a massive project. And then a week and a half later, I had just closed out my biggest month in business ever. And I'm actually really glad that happened, not just for my own self and being able to see how I handle a worst case scenario and how I hold my mindset around that, but also how you handle clients who are in situations like that. I can trust you to not tell me BS fluffy stuff. If I come to you, and in a worst case scenario, if I come to you and say, hey, my business isn't working, I need to close down, you're not going to tell me, no, it's okay, just keep trying harder. Once you hit that point, there's that of no return that I thought that I was in, then you are still supportive and incredibly realistic about how to handle those challenges. And it turned out that I wasn't actually in that situation at all. It was just sort of a momentary lull in business because of the election. And my design partners said the same thing because they were all experiencing that same weird break in inquiries. And then we had this big sudden influx of them. So it was just kind of a freak situation and had very little to do with my business, actually. But, that really just proved to me that you're the kind of coach I want to have. If the worst case scenario happens, I can trust you to give me sound judgment and to look after my best interests. And if it really is a situation where I'm just giving into fear or I just need to have more faith in myself, you are going to tell me that and we're going to work through that together. But if it is a situation where from a practical standpoint, I just need to make the hard decision, you're going to back me up on that too. And you're not going to try to talk me out of doing what is right for myself. So again, I know it's not as fun to talk about hard moments in business because, of course, people want to hear about these amazing success stories. And I've had a ton of success. My business now is thriving. I'm moving into the mastermind because I have such consistent business inquiries. But I really want to highlight that tough moment because I think that is truly what you want in a coach, is someone who's going to be able to walk you through those tough moments, who you can trust to lead you and to hold you in those tough moments, and who also can lead you and move you towards success, which is now where I am. And honestly, after that situation happened, that shifted my trust in myself times 1,000, because when I made the decision that literally changed 2 days later to close my business, I was doing it for me, and it wasn't coming from a place of fear. I was obviously very sad because I want to work on my business, and I'm fortunate that it didn't end up happening that way. But ultimately, I had built such a foundation of self-care and taking care of myself and showing up for myself so that I can show up for business, that I know that if my business crumbles, like, I'm still going to take care of myself. And I think when I entered TVA, I was putting my business before me in a lot of ways, and it was actually holding me back from showing up in business the way that I should be. So I had a moment where the business was falling apart all around me, and I showed up for myself. And you helped me prioritize showing up for myself, for showing up for the business. And once I made that decision, my business began to thrive. So I hope that makes sense. Last question. Can you talk about your experience with hypno? Any fears? How has it felt? What shifted for you? Yeah, I really didn't know what to think of hypnotherapy before I joined TVA. I had been doing, when I started my business, I had just gone through a really, honestly, traumatic breakup. I had moved across the country, moved in with my parents. I was living in my parents' basement, and I was basically just like at rock bottom when I opened my business. I was undiagnosed with ADHD, went on to get a diagnosis, and then quit my corporate job at the time. Started my business out of sheer desperation, and because I literally was at a point where I just had nothing left to lose. Like, if the business didn't work out, whatever. Like, I had nothing left to lose. So I opened my business, and as I was working through that period of my life, I started doing guided meditations just on my own time. And so when I found you, I started, and you were sharing information about hypnos and how they shift things in your mind and shift, your own self-beliefs and subconscious beliefs. I was already familiar with that concept. And had already seen how that had shifted my self-confidence and my self-love and my self-worth just in my personal life. And so being able to use this in a very business-specific context was really enticing to me. But I still just wasn't, there's always a little bit of skepticism around, is this really going to work? Is this really the shift that I need? Is this actually the thing that's going to move the needle for me? Because, at that point I had invested in so much strategy, and I was always trying to find the missing piece of information that was going to suddenly make me feel confident to move forward and act the way that I needed to act. And I eventually realized, no, I just need to make shifts in my behavior. It's not that I lack information, it's that I am not acting and behaving the way that I need to. And so hypnos have really helped me to do that. And because the hypnos that we do are so business specific, and they all address fears that are specific to running a business and being a business owner and a service provider, or a coach if you're a coach, being able to work through those business specific fears has been incredibly helpful and incredibly practical. I think the largest thing that I have worked through is a scarcity around money and around clients. And just trusting and knowing that it's going to work out, and that I'm capable of showing up and having the kind of business that I see people around me have. I think, and that's something I'm still sort of working on, I suppose, but I have seen such incredible progress around believing that it is possible for me to have the kind of business that I want to have. Because I see it in people all around me. I see that they have these businesses, and I know that I'm capable of delivering services that are of the same quality. And it really just is a matter of, am I going to show up and market my business the way that I need to? And so making the decision to shift my subconscious beliefs around that has changed the way that I show up to work, helped me be more consistent with my marketing, helped me invest in a designer who will do the graphic design for my business so I don't have to do it. Things like that. It's helped me to be confident in my decisions in business and to just move towards action more quickly. Again, I'll finish with this. It's just summarizing what I've said before. You can have all the strategy in the world, but if you're not able to show up and apply it, it's really worthless, frankly. I had dove so deep into strategy and, systems and whatever. I had built Dubsado operations and then gone over to Honeybook because I heard Honeybook's better, and then back to Dubsado. And I've written my web copy 4 billion times. You can do the strategy and learn the strategy and the systems over and over again, but ultimately you need to post the post. And ultimately you need to use the system to send the contract to the client. Like, having the strategy is important. I'm not saying it's not important, but you have to have the mindset to be able to show up and apply it confidently. And that is what TVA helps you with, and at least helped me with, is making sure your strategy is actually good and streamlined and ready to go, and then working on your mindset so that you can show up and use it. So TVA has been essential in moving my business to the next level. And I'm extremely excited for the mastermind because I know that it's going to launch me into even more success. So, Addison, thank you for everything. You're truly the best. I'm super, super grateful I found you, and really grateful to be working with you. Yeah.
Like I told you, she popped off. There's no other way to describe how just everything that she said was so incredible. And I'm so freaking excited for her to start in the mastermind this round. And one of the main reasons I really wanted to bring her in was just for you guys to hear in your own word, or in her own words, what hypnotherapy has shifted for her, what this deeper mindset work has shifted for her, and what overall just the deep support through the ups and the downs has shifted for her. Because a lot of my clients, when they finally join one of my spaces in the mastermind or TVA, where they're getting more tailored one-on-one support, a lot of the things that they share with me are like, holy shit, like I realize now that I deserve to be supported in this way. I don't have to be in business, by myself every single day, freaking out over every little thing. I don't have to wake up every single day and stress in my business. Like, I deserve to be supported in this way. And I think, ultimately that's what she was sharing here, right? Is like, when it comes to her hard moment, she really loved that I was going deeper with her. I wasn't just like, oh no, it's fine, everything's fine, like you don't have to quit your business, like this false positivity. We're like, okay, let's get real. Like, if that's what you really want, then let's dive into the why and the how behind that. But also, like, we want your business to thrive, so what can we actually do right now to move the needle forward? And so overall, I think that, when it comes to coaching, what a lot of coaches miss and why a lot of people don't see results and then feel like they got scammed in coaching containers or feel like they didn't actually get the results that they want is because they go to their coach and they say, hey, I'm having a tough time. Hey, my launch isn't going as planned. Hey, blah, 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 blah. This is happening. My sales are slow. And the coach immediately goes into everything's fine, false positivity, like show up, do this, go live, post this on Instagram, post this on TikTok, do this, launch this micro offer, let's move the needle forward. And when you do that, you actually perpetuate the idea that success is hard work and that success requires hustle. So the solution there is essentially do more and hustle harder. And when my clients come to me with the same types of concerns, let's say with the launch, for example, let's say my launch isn't going as planned, I actually explore this deeper. So I, say, where are you holding on to the belief that launching has to be hard? What, where are you holding on to the belief that making high ticket sales is hard? Is this part of a bigger pattern that we've noticed in launches? Because, for example, with Kallen, there has been a consistent pattern of things kind of going up and down in her business, which is a mindset issue. I call that feast and famine. What are your dominant thoughts each day of this launch or in your business? And where are you comparing yourself to others? Because all of these things, these mindset issues and mindset blocks, drive your results. So we're going deeper than just like, do more. No, it's fine. Like, just show up this way, just show up. And your mindset and your subconscious mind dictates your behavior, your action, and words that you use. So the reason why that's so important is because if I think, okay, my launch is quote unquote not going as planned, and I reach out to my coach and she just says, oh, well, show up on your stories and do this, post this content, do this live, you should post 3 times on TikTok. Why don't you launch this micro offer? Essentially, you're reinforcing the belief and making the belief true that I have to do more in order to create more results. Without addressing it, that mindset will always create the same results and keep you plateaued. So launching will always feel that way. And, like I said, this client, Kallen, I literally have a message here that she sent me. She said, I literally went from mourning the end of my business on Monday to potentially tracking towards the highest income month I've ever had in business. What the actual fuck? And then she said, we'll see how these projects pan out, but I quite possibly could go from a 1.5K month to a 10K plus month, 3 project leads in 1 week. And, I asked her, even then, I was like, what actually shifted for you? Like, what do you feel like actually aided in this? Because it wasn't me, it was, us working through these deeper mindset issues. And she said, you don't offer empty, it'll all work out comfort, which I don't find helpful personally, but you do still have a high level view of the business that I don't see and remind me that it is a journey. You're so great. And she said, truly the greatest investment I've ever made in my business. And it's because we did this deeper mindset work. So it wasn't just, show up, it's all going to work out. I said, this sucks, sit in it, feel it, let's process it, and then let's turn it around. And so, when a launch feels like a push or sales feel hard and things aren't going as planned, the last thing you need is to react by doing more. That approach only reinforces the belief that more hustle equals more money, and you'll prove yourself right in that as well too. So the coaching that actually gets you to 20K months sustainably without the push is, where we're looking at where your mindset is dictating the results, where your subconscious does not feel safe in your expansion. What are your subconscious beliefs about money, ease, and success? How can you be more intentional with your content and messaging to connect with what your audience truly needs to hear to convert, versus let's create a micro offer as a touch point because your audience needs a touch point, versus believing your content can do the heavy lifting for you, or obsessing over who is watching your stories, who's clicking, and focusing on reaching out to them and being pushy, or posting more, doing more lives, getting more content out there, because again, that just reinforces the belief that business is hard, it requires hustle, and that these patterns are okay. So most coaches don't actually have the skills to help clients develop the leadership mindset and emotional intelligence necessary to build a sustainable, scalable business, because like I said, business is going to be up and down. It's going to be hard. It's going to have moments that literally knock you on your ass. And if you don't expect that, then you're honestly just expecting rainbows and sunshine. And I'm sorry, business is going to be hard for you, and you're a little bit entitled because business is just what it is. I'm not saying that you should expect every single moment's going to be hard, but there are going to be hard moments, and you need to develop the leadership mindset and emotional intelligence to hold yourself through that. So when you have a moment where you receive a cease and desist on your honeymoon, you don't throw apart the whole honeymoon and want to quit your business and freak out, and you instead get to stay present and hold yourself through it and process it quickly. So a business that delivers 20K months consistently without posting 24/7, obsessing over vanity metrics, being stuck in endless sales calls, feeling overwhelmed and reactive, burning out because they're so focused on the strategy, they focus on, they forget the most important piece of all of this, which is your subconscious mind is creating your reality. And deeper than that, your subconscious mind is creating the messaging and the words that you use in your business, and the confidence and the energy behind the sales you are creating. So reactive businesses are built on hustle, and sustainable businesses are built on strong foundations, conviction, and reprogramming to get your subconscious on board with your conscious desires. Because without reprogramming, you will always be in the same cycle of launching, burning out, things feeling like a push, and obsessing over your messaging strategy being quote unquote perfect to convert. So in the Master Your Mind Mastermind, we do things different because we reprogram, then we align your strategy, your business strategy to in all areas to fit your goals in the next 50 to 100 steps of increased income. And then we execute on that strategy to show up powerfully. So you best bet when Kallen was having this moment of, holy shit, what is happening in my business? I was not saying show up. I literally told her to pull back. I said, pull back. We need to realign. We need to take a moment here. And I'm not going to have you create content from that place of stress and scarcity, because you're never going to convert from that place. So we actually pulled away and we looked at the mindset first. And that's often what the missing piece is in a lot of people's success. So inside the Master Your Mind Mastermind, we'll refine your messaging intentionally, reprogram your subconscious beliefs to believe that business gets to be easier and sales can be fun, so that you can have 5K plus clients signing into your programs on repeat through your DMs, no sales calls, no doing more, no needing to have 1 million offers or a constant launch to make sales. And this is the space, the only space you need in 2025 for the next 6 months to set yourself up to multi-six figures. And I best bet a lot of my clients will be having their first 20K month inside this program, and I'm so excited to support it. And the reason that it gets to be easy and simple and doesn't require hustle, obviously, like, business is still hard work. You still have to put in the work, but it doesn't mean you need to be on 24/7 constantly posting 17,000 times on TikTok a day. my clients will be doing it without the hustle. They'll be doing it while being intentional and putting in the work, but by, truly believing that they can work less and make more. So if you're interested in the mastermind, after hearing Kallen's experience even in TVA, which is a less high-touch program, it's a program that, includes a lot less one-on-one support and really is just the foundational building point to get to 5K months. And you're like, okay, yeah, I want to step higher than that. I want the deeper one-on-one support. I want the deeper, work together. Then you need to get in my DMs or click at the links below and DM me. You can either DM me Mastermind to have a conversation about it, or you can just apply at the links below and I'll look over your application and then we can hop on a call, or I can just DM you. But I'm so excited to have you inside. We start in February, and by March, guys, you could be having insane results. Even before then, honestly, we could be getting on a call this week and mapping out some of these blocks that are preventing you from your first 20K month. So I'm so excited to chat with you further about this. We have limited spots available and the program starts so soon. So I will talk to you soon.